y'all know it's the countdown to my birthday. And like I said yesterday, I'd give you some updates about the trucking industry. So, we're going to start off with a little bit of trucking news. So moving on. Courts decide with a deaf truck driver and discrimination lawsuit against Werner. Werner is a major carrier, for those of you who don't know. An appellate court decided with the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission in an employment rights lawsuit filed against a trucking company, Werner, on behalf of a deaf truck driver. On July 10, 2025, the 8th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeal unanimously affirmed a judgment favoring the EEOC and a lawsuit initiated against a Omaha, Nebraska-based trucking company, Werner, in 2018. According to the EEOC lawsuit, Werner told Victor Robinson that because he was deaf, they could not hire him as a truck driver, even though he was guaranteed graduated from a truck driving school, received a commercial driver's license, obtained a U.S. Department of Transportation Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, an exemption from the hearing regulation for the operation of a commercial vehicle. The EEOC argued that Werner violated the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, when it refused to qualify a deaf truck driver because he was deaf. In September 2023, a Nebraska jury sided with the EEOC and Robinson and awarded $75,000 in compensation damages and $36 million in punitive damages, federal authorities said. Following the judgment, the EEOC described a flurry of legal countermeasures that ultimately led to a July 10th decision. The U.S. District Court of the District of Nebraska entered judgment in favor of the EEOC, but reduced the jury's award to a statutory cap of $300,000 and awarding back pay and prejudice interest, pre-judgment interest. The district court also ordered injunctive relief requiring Werner to report certain information about deaf applications to the EEOC. Werner appealed this circuit court, arguing that the district erred in granting a direct verdict on the issue of causation, granting summary judgment in the EEOC's favor on some affirmative defenses, making several adverse administrative rulings against Werner, denying Werner a motion of judgment as a matter of law, granting injunctive relief, awarding pre-judgment interest. The appellate court, through opinions, systematically analyzed each point of the companies raised on appeal, discerning no errors in the court's pre-judge panel, unanimously affirming the judgment in the totality. The ADA was signed 35 years ago, and it remains an important protection for people with disabilities in the workplace, said Jennifer Goldstein, Associate General Counsel for the EEOC. This is an important opinion. It recognizes the trial court and the jury select decision, and it is a clear win for enforcement of the law. No one should be judged by prejudice, and the EEOC will aggressively pursue violations of federal employment law in trial court and court of appeals. Companies must refrain from discriminating against people with disabilities and must offer reasonable accommodations, said Gail Coleman, lead EEOC appellate attorney. Deaf and hearing people alike should be able to work free from stereotypes and unfounded fears. Court decisions will help ensure employees are judged on their merit and help ensure the rights to secured by the Americans with Disabilities Act continue having meaning. Now, this article, this is an interesting. This is a very interesting article on itself, because for me, I don't see I mean, obviously, there's more to this case than what's being presented in the article. I didn't get to see the specific arguments or the defenses, but I don't know if I side with Werner Trucking or the driver on this case, because it's a bad situation. It's just a bad. It's just not one of those arguments where, yes, people with disabilities have a right to work. I'm all for that. But again, if you're deaf, like, is that a safety issue for driving a commercial vehicle? Because a lot of driving involves active listening. You have to listen, just like driving a car. You're actively listening while you drive. You're listening to the sound of the engine. Not just the radio, but the sound of the engine, the sound of the tires, the sound of other vehicles around you, the sound of emergency sirens and emergency vehicles. And I mean, you have to be able to do all that in a regular car. For us, we have to do that like times 1,000, because we constantly, because it's just so much bigger of equipment, and it takes so much more to get out of the way, or to stop, or to slow down. So in that sense, I kind of side, like I'm on the side of Werner with that, because it is a major safety thing. I mean, even the FMCSA, they require a hearing test, even though according to the article, this guy was given an exemption. Which is a big question. Why was he given an exemption from the hearing test? So, in that sense, I side with the driver, because he was given the exemption, which means even though he was legally deaf, the FMCSA clearly states that his hearing still makes him able to drive a under a federal license legally. Like, I'm curious what the provisions are to get that exemption. But again, that kind of comes back on Werner, like, they should have took that exemption. They should have recognized that. But then to counter argue that, I think Werner should have been able to consider what was the exemption for. Why was he given the exemption? And that would have been an important aspect of the pre-hire process, finding out what that exemption was, why it was granted. And again, that in turn throws in the HIPAA laws, or the right to privacy. So Werner wouldn't have even been able to explore that, to find out why he was given the exemption, because it's protected under HIPAA. So I don't, do I, so when I look at this case and this ruling, do I see Werner in the wrong? Not entirely. But again, another thing that I saw in here. I mean, in September 23, the Nebraska jury sided with the EEOC and awarded Robinson $75,000 in compensationary damages and $36 million in punitive damage. Like, holy fuck. That's what's called a nuclear verdict. And they were going on in the trucking industry for a while. Like, and it got out of hand. Like, everybody sees a big truck, they automatically assume big money. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, you bumped my bumper, I got a bad back, why not? Give me $45,000, give me $54 million in damages, you bumped my bumper. And it went on for a while, and this is a good example of it. It's out of hand. I mean, $36 million of damages. I don't see Werner doing anything wrong in this. Again, I'm just by what I see in the article, just by reading the article without digging into the case. I mean, on the face, I don't see. I see Werner doing what they were supposed to do to protect their assets, to protect their company, and to abide by the law. But again, I want to know what the exemptions are. Like, what are their provisions to get an exemption on a safety crucial part of a DOT physical? That is definitely interesting. But beyond that, here's your trick news for the day. I'm still in Miami. I'm still stuck. I still got this load. But hopefully I'll have it off my truck. Stay tuned and we'll find out. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Help the YouTube algorithm and help me get paid to make them.